Everything's in full swing down there in Edenfield. I came down here on a Saturday morning because Susan and I will be gone for the week, 7 days to be exact. So I'm not sure about next Sunday. I still might can get a video of what's going on maybe next Sunday, which would be like, I'm talking like October the 5th. So I'm kind of just riding around aimlessly, if you will, to see what's going on. Kind of looking for access points and not get in the way of any sort of construction areas. Coming down Couples Way, off in the distance right there, you're going to see the Edenfield Recreation and Postal area. There's a lot of empty lots around here, and well, they're filling up pretty fast. Way off in the distance, you got them patio villas. This whole area where you're seeing it's all vacant, bare bones right now. They've got the lots formed, but there's no foundations on them. Yeah, these are going to be designer homes. Kind of riding around in such a way where you're staying out of people's way. All sorts of cement trucks. Right up over here, these are going to be these brand new patio villas. They're coming along pretty quick. And off to the distance right there, there's a whole new section of homes that are starting to come up. Pretty fast patios. We're gonna flip right here. So there are foundations being poured. Mostly everything all along, probably on these inner perimeter lots that are circling around the golf course. My thought is that these lots were purchased and people are having houses built on them. That's the case for a lot of them all the way out there. From what it looks like, I'm going to go out on the limb here and say this area is going to be really nice. Edenfield's starting to shape up a little bit. Now all the villages of course are really nice, but and I'm looking at that sunrise over there. It is a beautiful Saturday morning. I see people riding around speeding through here like they're 100 miles an hour. That's insane to drive like that in here. probably late for work. I don't know if the camera's picking up on it or not. I tell you what, there's not anything much better. Well, maybe there is. Depends on your viewpoint, I suppose. A better sunrise in Florida, or a sun and a sunset for that matter. The Florida skies are just incredible. You know, a lot of times you get big white puffy clouds, multi-layers of clouds, and the canvas that it sets way off in the distance. Construction going on. You got cranes that are hoisting up precast walls. Those funny trucks that got those long extended spider arms down there, that's actually cement trucks, and they pump that cement some long extended hose, and that's how they pour foundations. It reaches over onto the slab and they just pour it out to form a slab. Quite interesting. You can kind of hear it off in the distance. I don't know, you can kind of hear a chick, chick. It's going to be a beautiful morning sunrise. Kind of doing a boots on the ground view. A little bit of the layout here in Edenfield, more designer home areas. This is going to be backed up to a retention pond. All them houses back there have come up within the last few weeks. I think it's going to be a mixture of houses being built by people who bought lots and spec homes that the villages are building. Right now I'm currently running along Edenfield Run. Like I say, off in the distance, it's a nice large retention pond. Kind of runs all the way down and it just continues all the way over that way. There's a cart path for the golf course. All this in here. Designer homes backed up to the golf course. I tell you what would be cool is if you either buy the lot to have a house built, or you bought a house that was already built, like right here, you're going to be backed up to the golf course that's going to have a little mini bridge right there with all that body of water stretched out over there. That's going to be kind of nice. You know, so if you're looking for a house that has, you know, a house that's going to have a better view of things, all that water, the little bridge right there, people golfing, and then you're going to get the sunset view overlooking that whole area right there. That's looking over into Oak Hollow. That's going to be nice. They even got another one over here. Well, it looks to be restrooms. You're on the golf course. There's a great white egret perched up on the little bridge over there off in the distance. Then you've got a set of bathrooms right here. Need to fix my zoom, otherwise it might pixelate if I don't put it back to the normal setting here. Big old Spanish oak tree, Spanish moss, whatever you want to call that. The Villages does everything they can to preserve those huge trees. They've been there forever. and they're really nice, add a lot to the landscape. Several birds on that retention pond already in there. So these are going to be homes with a nice backyard view running along Edenfield Run, Shackleford Trail and Edenfield Run. I'm going to get back on McNeil Drive. Oak Hollow. I'm on Craig Court and Corbin Trail. May hang a right, or I may go straight, I'm not sure, but what I'm starting to notice is housing going on over there. Actually, this right over there, I'm looking at the sunrise too. It was 73 degrees this morning. 73. In Central Florida, beautiful. Being that it's so difficult to really get up close to development areas on a Saturday morning, rather Sunday. Sunday is a lot less happening. But Monday through Saturday, it's just full-on war zone. See a lot of trailers off in the distance with precast walls. Construction going on. This postal center. I'm actually waiting to see if they got any walls going up in these areas yet. Corbin Trail and Proventure Path. Bunch of walls. These are going to be what looks to be designer home streets. See, a lot of reason I say that, those are barrier walls separating people's lanais from each other. Good morning sunrise. This would be looking into the village of LaGrange direction, and off in the distance there could be a hotel, and then you got Eastport. Yep, here we are, LaGrange Loop, coming off of Corbin Trail. So that's going to be LaGrange's Postal and Rec Center area. That's what I'm going with. We were in here last week or so. They're building a swimming pool right over here behind that building. That's going to overlook all of that view over there. And there's a walking path where all that red tape is hanging around. Not a golf cart path, but it's a walking and running path. And I guess you could ride your bike there too. Just won't be for golf carts. Overlooking Eastport. It's coming along pretty quick. It ain't gonna be too much longer. All the snowbirds will be back for that though. And it'll be crowded. But I'm not sure when the official date for them to open. It could be a while yet. And at Central Park Lake, I mean, it runs all the way down, almost all the way up to Marsh Bend Trail. I just took notice of something. It's not a big deal. You know, all that rebar that runs along there, that's going to be a wall. So they're beginning to mark off areas for housing. So they're starting to trickle in this even towards this direction. Now that the sun is coming up, it's casting a beautiful light off in this direction. And I don't know if you notice it or not, off in the distance. I'm gonna try to zoom this thing in. It's kind of weird. That's the Coleman Federal Correctional Facility. Yep. A federal penitentiary. And it's called Coleman because just ways down there, you're looking at Coleman, Florida. So that is the Coleman. That's a watchtower right there. And there's at least a few of them that I know of. That one is not as hidden by the trees. You can see. The other one, you can't hardly see it. If you look through the trees, you can kind of see the top of it. This one's a bit more exposed. So just be aware of that. You know, if you're going to buy a house in here, you've got that federal penitentiary right across the street behind all of those trees. And then you got that watchtower. You know, I'm thinking, do they have binoculars up there? What if, you know, are you going to be in your swimming pool or whatever you got over there and they're going to be peering in on you? Not much to see here, I guess. Just a funny thought. But man, the weeds are growing. They're taking over everything over here. Hassan Avenue, LaGrange Loop, and it looks like the weeds have taken over. Wow, I remember it was just dirt. It's kind of down that street is where I found that soccer ball sized watermelon or something. May not even been that big. Looks like farmland over here. Littleton Lane and Pete Path, Oak Hollow East verandas. Last layer of asphalt is on. They're done. Done. So we're going to take a quick ride through. Take a last look at these brand new beautiful veranda homes, which are designer homes with privacy fences. Designer homes with privacy fences, they call them verandas, right? If they were sitting on a designer home street, you know, that house could be called one thing. They put the same house in here and it'll have a different name, from what I've seen a lot of times. And they don't have curbs in these streets. They're still wide roads, but all the water runs to the middle of the road and it goes down into storm drains. And them storm drains will collect most of all the water to be used as irrigation water and to keep water in the retention ponds. Really nice houses, guys. That house is kind of sitting kind of catty corner. See that saw that the village plants down? It does so well. Don't buy it from the stores. And Lowe's and Home Depot, don't buy it from there either. That's Floratam. Unless you got Floratam, you don't want it. But most of the time, those sod pieces die off 50% of the time. I've even bought it from independent sod people. Still dies. But where these guys buy it from, Bethel Farms and wherever it's harvested, it's usually good quality. So you can see how nice it looks now. Keeping it that way is another story. You can see all these houses, you know, gas hookups. You can see the on-demand water heating system. Just a quick look, Corbin Trail, the golf course. Got a house that's going to have a pretty decent view. Different colors. Now there's two houses together that look like they have almost the same color. Might be a little lighter than the others. I see a couple of them that way. So if you happen to see a house in the home model that you're looking at and the color. That's a lot of why I do this, so people can kind of get a on the ground look from afar, you know, and look at a house, and maybe they like the colors that they got going on and the way they did it, the light fixtures. Speaking of fixtures, these veranda homes, they've gone back to putting the window treatments back in it. That's good. I think for a while there they had stopped doing that. Quit putting ceiling fans in and all that stuff. I'm going to flip and we're going to take a look at the inner perimeter, the inner area of this street. It's a fairly large veranda neighborhood. Some bigger. I've seen some that were pretty small. This one's rather substantial. So there's plenty to choose from if you're looking for a veranda. You need that privacy fence. Got a dog. Maybe you just don't like looking at your neighbors. That one's sold. They've already been released. It's pending. That tells me they are releasing these houses already. If you go online to the village's website, whether it be, you know, www.villageshomes.com or whatever it is, or on an app, and you click on search homes, and you're looking at Oak Hollow for verandas. Apparently these are showing up. House is going to have a nice big beautiful corner lot. I would imagine some of these are going to be approved for pools. Just depends. So if you go on the website and look and see what's available, I don't know if these sell quite as fast as courtyards and patio, you know, the cottage homes and stuff like that, because they're coming in at a lower price. These are going to be up there. You're looking at least 400,000s on up. I'm thinking maybe the high threes. I'm not sure, guys. So you just go on there, get on the village's website, get a hold of a sales representative or something. They can give you all that information of what they're running for. 2-car garage, golf cart garage. They're really nice. Take a quick look at the rest of the houses as we head out. There's a house right here is pending. So that's 2 so far that I'm seeing. One thing to keep in mind, guys, if you're up north or wherever you're buying from and you got this big old house someplace, you know, and you've got a big garage, storage, shed, blah blah blah, and you've got a lot of stuff, trust me when I tell you, you're going to want to downsize. These houses are not built with a whole lot of storage in mind, and I'm not sure why. You're going to have some. The larger houses, you're going to get a larger attic. You know, you got garage space, but from what I understand and what I've been told and been seeing, most of these houses in these neighborhoods, you are not allowed to have a storage shed. That's a deed restriction or covenant or whatever, that deed restrictions or something. There's a house I saw for sale that somebody did it anyway. They built they had a storage shed, but you are not allowed to have storage sheds in here unless it has already been improved for your district or your neighborhood, you have to find out from ARC, and that's Architectural something committee. I can't think of what it is now. And to find out if they will approve something like that. I think you can have one built onto the house. If it's becomes part of the house built on, I think you can do that. But just to go to Lowe's and throw a storage shed up there, that's a no-no. So just keep in mind when you're looking for storage. Coming back down, there's a lot of cars in here. So the finishing touches are coming along. Patio villas, I think we rode through. They look like they're done. Very cottagey and cute. Now I'm actually on Paquette, well, Pete Path and Paquette Run. And this is the street that these guys were like doing all that street sweeping and everything, scraping the road, getting ready. I'm not sure how much we get to look at. Somebody's moved into that house already. I'm not sure if all these are going to be the Villages spec homes that they just build, or if some of these are mixed in with people who bought lots, built houses, or both. We're all looking all along Paquette Run right now. And since they've done that work on these streets, it looks way better. I mean, it looks amazingly good. And then we've had rains too. So now the street looks like it's been here for 6 months. Somebody wanted me to go looking down Presley Place, which will be the first road that would just past Paquette, and we've already done that. I did that in the last video. So we're just going to run along Paquette Run. This is really the only side of the street that they've got these houses on, because the rest of them are just these. Houses already being sold. And look at those walls. See how I mentioned the walls earlier that separate the lanais. I actually like those walls a lot better than what they used to do. They are putting up these orangey yellow walls. They weren't very appealing to me, in my opinion, compared to these stone looking kind of block walls right here. This look a lot better. You still got that ugly utility stuff right there. That's crazy. Then here on Paquette Run, remember you got Wellpoint. Now we're in the village of Wellpoint. We came out of Oak Hollow and we bled into Wellpoint, coming down Paquette Run, and these are the Wellpoint South verandas. Now, in fact, could be even when we came down that Paquette Run, that could have been part of Wellpoint already as well. It's weird how to figure out, you know, what village you're in. You cross the street and you know you're in a different county. I'm already on Thomas Trail. I was sitting here thinking I wanted to go down Thomas Trail, and I'm already on it. Never ceases to amaze me that once the villagers, once they build a house, they buy it the next week and they're moved in the next day. Alright guys, we're gonna cut it off here. Been long enough of a video. I'm gonna try to short it down after I do a bunch of editing. And then hopefully we'll catch you guys on the flip side. Not tomorrow's Sunday morning ride, but maybe on the 5th. We'll see how it goes. Till next time, take care of one another. And I'll see you again in the next glorious video.
find myself wondering what did happen to the last 10. I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I seek what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. I'll be yours. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 get something from nothing. Life changes just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always